Amia, did you eat your vegetables today? Come on, if you don't get your vitamins and minerals, you won't get any stronger. Look, I don't make the rules. I mean, I kinda do, but like, a balanced diet is necessary if you want to be a fit operator. I'm gonna use this video to bring my perspective on balancing in Arknights. It's something that looks almost non-existent in gacha games since they don't come out with patch notes like other games, so I want to delve deeper into this fine line of balancing that Arknights has. If you're a long-time viewer of mine, you'd be familiar with this amazing video that I did not make just so I could have a clickbait title and gain traction. I would never have titles and thumbnails that exaggerate the topic of the video. I'm gaslighting you? That's not even a real word. Anyways, I mentioned that balancing in Arknights is not much of an issue because of the game's focus on niches. With an infinite possible amount of enemy and stage mechanics on top of operator-to-operator interactions, our lovable PNGs don't stay viable through pure numbers only. They take up different roles in your squad, which increases their versatility. That's cool and all, but what if I forced Surtur and Shelter to hold hands, creating the ultimate Antichrist love child operator that would power creep every operator in existence? This would be bad news for a couple of reasons, and I know some of you are thinking, isn't Arknights a single player game? Who cares about how other people play the game? You can just not pull for the operator or play without them. But there's invisible strings that lots of players don't see attached. First of all, constant power creep in the game would kill sales. If any of you are literally ancient like me and played Brave Frontier, you would know that the units in the game were power crept literally every banner. This would force you to essentially never pull, because why pull if the next banner is just going to have better units? It would also feel like the units you pulled for were a waste of resources since outright better characters are going to be released anyways. No revenue equals no game, and that means no Amia Pog, which is the worst possible timeline. But even the occasional mega busted operator such as Surtur is bad news. Let me put it this way. If Arknights made every operator deal 1 damage, except for Cruz, who got to retain her normal attack stat, every stage would practically revolve around using Cruz to kill every enemy. In a similar fashion, having operators like Shelter and Surtur added to the game tips the power scaling of enemies, and this matters a lot in contingency contract. If the game doesn't adjust its future stages to balance around these operators, like in Pine Suit, then the stages would be too easy, and whatever concept of fun Shelter and Surtur players have left would be ruined. Even worse, contingency contract could be balanced around the most broken ops, making them essentially necessary for max risk or even just high risk in general. But it's not even endgame content where power scaling matters. Just look at Refraction in Chapter 9. Yeah, me too, I love plus 70 arts resistance, making all my arts damage options except for Ifrit and Surtur basically useless. I wonder who's the most used operator in Chapter 9. Surely it couldn't be an operator with extremely high physical damage, expanded range, movement reduction, and defense reduction, right? So while yes, Arknights is a single player game, it doesn't mean balancing is completely irrelevant to the game. I'm sure people have thought about Arknights having regular buffs and nerfs to operators once in a while, similar to patch notes, but gacha games tend to only buff their units and never nerf them, and for very good reasons. The most obvious reason is it make the players mad. If you pulled for Surtur and then a month after her release she got nerfed down to Franca level, anyone would feel like they've wasted resources to pull for that operator, or even worse, money. Okay, so what about buffing? Well, Arknights' buffing history is not that great. During Shelter's event, Hypergriff was like, yeah, let's buff these operators, these lesser used branches, to make them more used. And then everyone got hyped and made a bunch of, oh my god, you will never guess what Arknights did videos. But what actually was it? It's just more stats. And the issue with more stats is that it doesn't actually fix the operator's kit, which was actually bringing their usage down. The easiest example is Mostima. Increasing Mostima's health and attack by 100 is great, but that doesn't change the fact that her DP costs and SP costs are way too high. Now, Hypergriff has done an overhaul for a branch, specifically the Abjure archetype, aka the Tsukinogi archetype, but the change wasn't substantial enough to increase their usage. Will more buffs like these come in the future? Maybe. But with the release of modules, I don't think we'll see these types of changes anymore. Lee, I need your help. Could you make a dish for Amia to help her eat her vegetables? You have the perfect recipe? Yeah, I'd be willing to try it. This pasta looks good. I forgot the secret ingredient. Modules are nice in concept, but my main issue with them is how they're expanding the power gap between already strong operators and weaker ops. Bagpipe's module is evident enough. It gives her more attack for more damage scaling on her crits, doubles her DP gain per enemy kill, and essentially makes her cost 0 since retreating her refunds her entire DP cost. It heavily expands her DP niche and increases her burst potential quite a bit. Let's compare it to Dusk's module where she just got 1 extra tile of range, more HP, and more attack. I'm not saying Dusk's module hurt her kit, but if you compare it to how much Bagpipe gained from her module to how much Dusk gains, the difference is pretty big. Sure, an extra tile of range is nice, but why give her HP? Oh hell yeah, I love using Dusk to tank. Dusk has summons that do the tanking for her? What do you mean? The extra attack from her module is great since it scales with her talent, so that's nice, but at its core it doesn't fix Dusk. Like Mostima, Dusk suffers from SP and DP cost issues, and those problems aren't going away just cause I have an extra donut tile of range. You can argue that more attack and DP doesn't actually fix any of Bagpipe's problems since it's not like she had any in the first place. So let's compare Dusk's module with Phantom's module instead. For Phantom's module, instead of refunding only 50% of his cost on retreat, it's upped to 80% along with extra attack and HP bonuses. Extra attack is always spicy on Phantom because of the way he stacks it on his S2. The module doesn't seem like it'd do much, but because he's a fast redeploy, the extra 30% DP you get from retreating him heavily alleviated his number one issue, which was DP. If you're constantly redeploying and retreating Phantom, your DP is bound to take a dive. And the module does a great job at fixing this issue. And yeah, AoE casters have a short range, so having an extra tile does fix Dusk's issue a little bit, but that doesn't fix the two main problems of their branch. Again, having a larger power gap between the worst operator and the best operator will make the bouncing even more wonky in the game, so I thought modules would be used to even the playing field, which is sadly how they're not being implemented. I mean, HG did say they were planning on releasing more than one module per operator, so I guess we'll just have to wait for the second batch to come along? I don't know. Wow, Damia, your combat growth is crazy. Must have been the vegetables, right? You didn't eat them? What? How'd you get so much stronger then? It's a secret? Ugh, you better not be collecting more firearms.